Hello everyone, how are you all? Today we are going to discuss the landform features made by river, means simply we can say fluvial landform features, which are also one of the most important topic according to the pre-2024. So if we talk about river, so the question comes in our mind that what is river or what is river stream? So simply we can say river is a water body flowing in unidirectional manner and has a perfect origin and moving in the influence of gravity from a hill or the you can say uplifted area and having a three-dimensional feature, width, depth and length, and finally merges in a bigger water body, or simply we can say falls in sea or ocean. So this is the river, and when the river will flow from a mountain to sea, in its course it is going to do the erosional and the depositional features, as because when it is going to move down it will have more speed, and then after as the slope gradient will decrease, the you can say speed of the water will decrease, and instead of doing erosion it will start doing a deposition. Before that I am going to tell you about the stages of river. If we see the river, the whole lifespan of river is divided in 3 stages, as you can see in the map. The 3 stages, zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. So the zone 1, 2 and 3 are divided in 3 sections, like the childhood stage, then after mature stage and old stage. Again further, if we divide the mature is divided into early and late mature. But as we are doing pre, or you can say the GS point of view, no need of remembering early or the late mature stage, but only you can remember the childhood stage, mature stage and the old stage. Now the question comes in our mind that why we have compared the life cycle of river with the life cycle of humans. So let me tell you, as the humans are in these 3 stages of their life, like this only the river behaves. Like in childhood stage, the human is mainly destructive in nature. The volume is less, or you can say he is thin and he can make path from anywhere, and construction works can't a child do, only the destructive work. Like that only when the river originates from the slope, means mountain, due to high slope gradient the speed of the river water is very more, and due to high speed it is only going to do the erosional work, not the depositional, means the destructive works, and no constructive work will be done. Like that only the you can say river is called as childhood stage. Then after in mature stage, when the river reaches the you can say foothills or the plain area, the slope gradient decreases. When the slope gradient will decrease, automatically the speed of the river water will decrease. Along with that, the volume of the river water will increase as the tributaries are going to join it on different stages. And the question comes tributaries and distributaries. So tributaries are the smaller streams which join the main stream in the upper course, and distributaries are the last stage, in the last stage when river bifurcates the main stream in many sub-streams, that is considered as the distributary. Like if we talk about Ganga, Hooghly river bifurcates in West Bengal and rest of the Ganga enters in Bangladesh. So Hooghly is will be considered as the distributary of Ganga. So in mature stage the humans become so much adult, and you can say they start thinking, so they do more constructive work rather than destructive. Like this only here the river is going to do more constructive work, depositional work, and less erosional work, means destruction. And in the old stage, when humans reach, they only do the saving. Like this only in the last stage the slope gradient of the river decreases, and over 100 of kilometer only 1 degree of slope decreases. So the river start depositing all its sediments in its course. So the depositional feature means we can say that in childhood stage or the early stage only the erosional features are formed. In mature stage you can say erosional plus depositional, both are formed, and in you can say the old stage only depositional feature. So in this way the river life cycle is broadly divided. Now moving on to the next part, and what is that? The erosional features first we will see. So the first erosional feature which river makes is V-shape valley, means the valley of the river will resemble like capital letter V. Now when the capital letter V, the valley will resemble, the slope gradient of the valley floor will be very gentle in nature, and the most important thing, the lateral erosion will be very less and the vertical erosion, or you can say the bed erosion, will be more. Why? Because the river has originated from a height and the river has to achieve the base level. So in context or in regard of achieving the base level, the river is going to do the vertical erosion, and that's why the valley deepening is going to be done. So it resembles like V-shaped valley, and if we talk about its feature formed in the first stage, you can say the rate of erosion is more than the rate of upliftment, means yearly the mountain is rising at a very less rate and the erosion, the cutting down, is in a very high speed. Then after the bed erosion is more and slope is gentle. Example, you can say the Chenab Valley as it has been given in your image, and if you see the valley is resembling like V shape, capital letter V. Clear? Now after formation of V-shaped valley, if the river is going to achieve the base level, the valley is not going to be more cut down. But suppose in case of Himalayas, if we see the upliftment is still going on, means the river has not achieved its base level. Now again the V-shaped valley will be further cut down and the feature which will be formed will be the gorge. As you can see, gorge means the V-shaped valley will become more steep in nature and the slope of the valley will resemble like a standing wall. Then it will be considered as gorge, like the Satluj Gorge and Indus Gorge. As because Satluj and Indus both are considered as the trans-Himalayan rivers, means the rivers which are originating from the backside of Himalaya, that is Mansarovar Lake and the Rakastal. So if we see the latitudinal extent or latitudinal division, the greater Himalaya, middle Himalaya and lesser Himalaya, outer Himalaya, and the average height of greater Himalaya is 6,000 meters. So when they will cut the greater Himalaya, as because of the more height of the greater Himalaya, the valley will be more deep and just resemble like this, means the slopes will resemble like a standing wall. Now moving on to the canyon. When further the V-shaped valley or gorge will be deep down, cut down, and this happens in semi-arid regions where the soil profile is very loose, then the slope gradient will become more high and the slopes will resemble like a staircase. Then it will be considered as canyon, like the most important, or you can say well-known canyon on earth is the Grand Canyon, which is formed by Colorado River in Colorado Plateau, as you can see. So in this way the three most important first stage features of the river comes. Now moving on to the next, when the river will comes over the slope, and the water will free fall, then it will be considered as waterfall. Means the free falling of water from a cliff is considered as waterfall. And if we talk about the waterfall, there are two main types of waterfall. Those are permanent and temporary. Now the question comes, what is the difference between permanent and temporary waterfall? So many of you will say that permanent waterfall means the waterfall which are having the water throughout the year, and temporary means seasonal. So this definition is correct as because of the, you can say, availability of water. But technically, the permanent and temporary waterfall are something different. How? The permanent and temporary waterfall, when the water is falling from the cliff, it will erode down the outer part. Now, when it will be eroded, this means the waterfall is receding back. So, the receding pattern of waterfall, when it will be not noticed by the person in his own lifespan, but rather by generation, then it will be considered as permanent. And when the receding pattern of the waterfall will be noticed by the person in his own life with the passing time or years, then it will be considered as temporary waterfall. How? As because of the alignments of rocks. Let's see them one by one. Here we are going to discuss the permanent waterfall. So in permanent waterfall, as you can see, what I told you is written over there, the arrangement of hard and soft rock, and person can't notice it, the receding pattern in his own lifespan. See, the columns of the hard and the soft rock, they are placed in a vertical manner. Now, as we know, the hard rocks are going to erode over a long period of time, and the end will be of hard rocks. So, the receding pattern will be noticed by generation. Like suppose you got the diary of your great-grandfather, grandfather and father. What they have written, that when they used to go to waterfall, they walk for 100 meters after parking the car to reach the end. But when you went there with your friends, what you found, that only 95 meters is the distance after parking the car. This means with generation, with time, over a long period of time, the waterfall has receded, which you have noticed after 3 generations. Your great-grandfather did not notice, your grandfather also, your father also, but you are noticing it. So it will be considered as permanent. And the water which will fall, it will create a lake, or you can say a pond, which will be considered as water pool or plunge. On the other hand, the temporary waterfall, the alignment of rocks are horizontal, and the most important thing is that the lower strata will be of soft rock, as you can see, and then after the hard rock will be placed. Now what will happen? When water will fall, it will erode down very easily the soft rock column. Now when the soft rock column is going to be eroded till here, the uplying strata will lose its base and it will fall down. Then again it will erode till here. Again the uplying strata is going to fall down. This means you are noticing it with year, means few years back when you went there over the waterfall, it was 100 meters, and this year it was 95 meters. And the example is, you can say, the Niagara Fall, which is receding with an average distance of 10 to 12 kilometers per year backward. Now the question comes, sir, how we are going to figure out that the particular waterfall is temporary or permanent if we go for the first time? So the permanent waterfall, the erosion will be done of particles. So you will find over the pool or plunge, means the base of the waterfall, only the pebbles and the sediments, and the pool will be clear of bigger rocks. But if you will went to the temporary rocks, what you will find that near the pool large rocks will be there, as because the uplying strata which is falling down will break. So when you are going to find the bigger rocks over the pool or in the pool, temporary, and if you are not going to find the bigger rocks but only the pebbles, then they are temporary in nature. After the waterfall, when further it will come down to the slope, the next feature which river will make is the rapids. Now, what are rapids? Simply we can say the jumping water over the slope. How the water jumps? Simply we can say the river rafting. In this case, what happens? Naturally, the columns of hard rock are placed in soft rock, as you can see, and with the time, the soft rock will be eroded very fast and the hard rocks column will be up. So when the water will move down from the slope, it will resemble jumping over the slope and will be considered as rapids. Means the column of hard rocks are placed obliquely in the soft rock bed. So it will be considered as rapids. Now moving on to the next feature. Finally, the river has reached the foothills. Now when the river will reach over the foothills, it will make Bhabar and Tarai belt. Now the question comes, Bhabar and Tarai belt, what are they? So let's draw them. The river is coming down, and as due to high speed, the river is carrying the big boulders also and the small pebbles also. But when suddenly the river is going to touch the foothill, the speed will decrease, and when the speed will decrease, river will deposits the boulders over the foothills, the bigger rocks, and the water will just move between them. And from a distance, if you will see the river, you can't able to see, as because the river is between the boulders, flowing between the boulders. This means from a distance, what you will find that the river is disappearing in this region. So it will be considered as Bhabar belt. But the speed is little bit more, not that much. So river is capable of carrying the small pebbles, and that small pebbles will be carried out to some extent, and then after they will be deposited. This means the river is going to again re-emerge, and you can see it from a distance. That is considered as the Tarai belt. If we talk about their width, the Bhabar belt will be of less width, 6 to 8 kilometers, and the Tarai belt will be between 12 to 16 kilometers in spread. So the Tarai region is found in the foothills of the Himalayas, that's why, and the Bhabar belt also. So in this way, you can say that the Bhabar belts are there, here given. When the river come down the foothills, the big boulders brought by her are deposited, and a narrow stretch where the river disappears is considered as Bhabar, and Tarai is 12 to 15 kilometers when the pebbles and the river, as you can see, is re-emerging over the surface. Technically, river has never disappeared, but by our naked eyes from a distance we are not able to see the river or its stream. That's why we are saying it as disappeared and re-emerged. After this, the river is going to enter the plain area. And as we discussed about the definition, the unidirectional flow of the river. Now the river has to maintain a direction, means it has to prevent its water from spreading. So to prevent the water from its spreading, what the river will do, it will start depositing the sediments brought by her laterally on the both banks to increase their height, and those deposited lateral sediments on the both banks of the river are considered as natural levees, as you can see. And with the time, when the water increases, the height of the natural levees will go on increasing. And the most important thing, initially after the Tarai belt, the height of the natural levees will be very less, as you have seen the river in the mountainous areas. But when it will move to the plain area further, what will happen? The volume of the river water is going to increase as the tributaries are also joining it. And when the tributaries will join along with water, they are going to, you can say, add the sediments also. So the water level is going to be high, sediment amount will be high. So with the increase in volume, the height of the natural levees are also going to increase. Like this, as you can see, the height of the natural levees are normal. But with the time, the height of the natural levees are increasing. Simply means the levees which are constructed naturally. Now after the construction of natural levee, the most important thing, the river is preventing its water from spreading. But what will happen in the rainy season? Apart from the normal water, during rainy season, the river will get more water. Now the water will increase, it is going to spread in the adjoining areas, which we considered as flood. So the sediment will also spread, and after the, you can say, occurrence of flood, the sediments which are deposited on the both side in the catchment area will be considered as the floodplains, as you can see. In floodplain also, there are two areas. One area in floodplain is there where every year the flood used to come, means the nearby area of the river getting flooded every year, and the area which is away from the river mainstream is going to get flooded over a long period of time. So there the sediment deposition is going to take after a long time. This means the floodplain which are being constructed will be of two types. One, the new one, new floodplain, and the old floodplain. The sediments which are deposited are considered as alluvium. So this is also considered as the alluvial plains. So the new alluvium and the old alluvium. So what are their name and how we can figure out? So technically the floodplain is again divided in two parts, that is Khadar and Bangar. Khadar area is that area where the deposition of sediment take place every year, means the new alluvial soil or the new deposition. The old alluvial soil is considered as Bangar, means the area which is getting flooded after a long period of time, decades, 10 years, 15 years, that will be considered as Bangar. The soil which will be younger in nature will be more fertile because it is getting replenished every year with the time, and its fertility is going to be again utilized. But here, Bangar, once the soil was deposited or the sediment was deposited 10 years before, means since 10 years, no new alluvial has been added. So the fertility is being used of that old one also, old one only. So the fertility of old will be less and the fertility of young will be more. So they are more fertile and these are less fertile in nature. Now after formation of floodplain, river will again move into the plain area. And as we know, river is a freely moving object. Again, the factor which will affect on this will be Coriolis force, and to overcome the less slope gradient, the river will take the sinus path, or you can say the curve path, which is considered as river meanders. And this you will find in those rivers which have got a long path in the plain area, like Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Krishna, Nile, Amazon, all these. So this will be considered as river meander. Now after meandering stage, what will happen? After some time, these two parts are going to be eroded. Why? Let me show you. The river water which is moving will hit this part, means erosion is going to be done, and the water speed will be less over here, so deposition will be done here. Again the river water will come and it will hit this part, so erosion, and over here deposition. Again erosion, and here deposition. So in this manner the river water is going to do erosion also and deposition also. And after a long period of time, what will happen? These two lines will meet and the river will change its path with the passage of time over a long. And always mind it, this pattern of river you are going to see by only a bird's eye, means from a height, because this part can be of kilometers length and they are navigable also in the major rivers like Amazon. So when this part will get cut down, it will form the next feature which will be considered as oxbow lake. And about the lake, what we know, that the natural depression, the still water body is considered as lake. So as you can see, here two images are given. One is the river meandering stage. Now one time will come, what will happen? This part will get eroded and these two streams will meet. So the bow shape part will get separated and again the natural levee will be formed. So finally this section will left behind and the river will change its path. So this will be considered as oxbow lake, like the Kanwar lake which is formed by Gandak river. So simply we can say that oxbow lake are the resultant feature after the meandering stage of the river. After the oxbow lake and meandering stage, the river reaches to the end stage, that is the old one. And in the old stage of the river, it used to form delta and estuary. Now the question comes, sir, the same river is going to form the delta and estuary both? No. The river which will form delta, they are not going to form estuary, and the river which are going to form estuary, they will not form delta. First thing. Second thing, the river who passes through all the three stages of their life, childhood, mature and old, they are only going to form the delta. And the river which passes through only two stages, childhood and mature, or you can say those rivers who flow through a rejuvenated topography, means after a plain area again a slope comes, means the speed of the river water will again increase, those rivers will form the estuaries. Like the east flowing rivers of India form delta because they are passing through all the three stages, and the west flowing rivers of India forms the estuary as they are passing through a rejuvenated topography, and rejuvenation stage they are forming estuary. See, in simple words, if I show you delta and estuary, how they are formed. In basic terms, you can say this is land and this is sea. Two rivers are there, one is this and one is this. Both are carrying the sediment with them. The river which is passing through all the three stages will reach in its old stage, and before falling in sea or meeting to sea, when the sediments brought by river will be deposited on the coast, and only the water is going to merge in sea, that will be considered as delta. But the rivers which are flowing only through the two stages are in high speed comparatively to the river moving through three stages. So due to high speed, they are not able to deposit their sediment over the coast or land, but rather after falling in sea, the sediment brought by them are deposited in the coast over the seabed, and then it will be considered as estuary. Delta are present in the intertidal zone, simply we can say, but they are present mostly, or you can say only, in the sea part, means the river is directly entering into sea and then after depositing the sediments. This is the basic difference. Now moving on to that, if we see the river is passing through all the three stages of its life and finally it is going to merge in sea, so they will form delta. Now the formation of delta, in our childhood what we have seen, that the triangular deposition of the sediment near the sea is considered as delta. But technically delta are of three types. One is bird's foot delta, second one is arcuate delta, and third one is cusped delta. Bird's foot delta means the deposition of sediments will take place just like bird foot of the bird, like this, and this is done by the most famous river of North America, Mississippi River, the example of bird's foot delta. Arcuate delta, the deposition will take place like half moon shape, the Sundarban delta, and the cusped delta means you can say jaw shape like this. So it will be considered as cusped, and that is the Tiber River. Now moving on to the next, estuary. Simply, as I told you, they will move through the rejuvenated topography or rejuvenated stage and they will fall directly in sea, and the example is Narmada and Tapi River, which makes estuary in the western coast of India. So in this way, the erosional and the depositional features made by river, which are also known as fluvial landform features or features made by running water, comes to an end. In the coming lectures, we will see the landforms made by wind, glacier, and you can say karst topography. In this, one feature which we left behind is the potholes. Potholes are nothing, they are formed over the slope when the river water will find a crack, and due to the grinding action and the polishing action of the water and the sediments, it will create a pot-like structure over the slope, then it will be considered as potholes. Apart from this, in the upper areas, the incised meanders or meanders in meanders are formed. Then after the entrenched meanders, river terraces, we are going to see them in the coming lectures. Till then, thank you. Have a nice day.